So there's a lot of equity out there, and we have Pete's Broadlake as well.
John has just mentioned how many players there are in the market now, Pete, including yourselves in Broadlake, but that's a big change on when you first got involved in this market back in the late 90s.
Yes, Vincent. When I started out life out of college, I went into private equity in Ireland working for an Irish company, but was focused mainly on deals in the UK and continental Europe. And the reason for that was not that there weren't small and medium-sized businesses in Ireland, but Irish businesses never really at that stage took to the concept of private equity. They were businesses that people were looking at multi-generational ownership. People treated them as the family silverware. So why would you actually have somebody else in that you might conceptually give away some of the equity to for a check? It just didn't make sense in those days. I guess when I set up Broadlake in 2009, the world had changed somewhat. So one, we were at the start of the deep recession. But businesses then had started to come around to realising that actually maybe the concept of private equity as a fuel to actually fuel the journey for your business might make good sense. And I think the great thing in an Irish Inc. context is that since 2009, we now have 8 funds operating in the Irish marketplace that have brought $1 billion of capital into the market, that has completed nearly 50 transactions in businesses that probably turn over between 5 and 100 million that are ambitious for growth.
But is it still not the case that most Irish SMEs, those that are growing well, that have good customer base, still see the business as their own property to hand on to their family, or in a trade sale otherwise?
I think a couple of things have kind of changed. I think Irish businesses have become more international in their focus. Right. And I think if we go back to the family silverware or the old film The Field, where people want to keep the land and they don't want the land to be taken off them, I think now you're not concerned about the field next door. You're concerned about, how do I do business in America? How do I do business in Europe? And I think what entrepreneurs are becoming more aware of is that you either bring your business forward or your business slips back. You cannot have an SME that stands still. That concept of a lifestyle business, I think, caught a lot of people going into the recession. So people who thought they could just generate profits from a business and just maybe pull back from their day-to-day involvement in that business and continue to generate those profits, I think were caught out a little bit going into the recession. So I think people now are saying the business has to keep going forward. I can't stop it going forward or it'll go backwards. And if I'm not at the helm, I need to look at how I do that. So that could be incentivizing the next layer of management. Historically, by the way, trade sales, you mentioned trade sales, people always thought that the only option was to sell their business to a trade sale. And that used to be foreign competitors who'd come in and look to buy Irish businesses. Now people are looking at them and saying, hey, private equity companies can actually take my business to the next level. So whether that's with me on board or whether it's with the next level of management on board, it gives more options for people than just the traditional trade sale.
What do you think